Let's speak to our next guest, who's on the line with us as well. Mark Field, the director and founder at Professor Consulting Group. Thank you so much for joining us, and peace be upon you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Delighted to be here and representing Prof Consulting Group. So thank you for the time this afternoon.
Thank you so much for joining us. Just talking about Prof Consulting Group, so can you tell us a little bit more, the overview and your sort of approach in helping people and your aims and objectives?
Yeah, thank you. So Prof Consulting Group's into our fourth year. We're an award-winning food and grocery consultancy with a team that is split between the UK and Australia. And ultimately, our point of difference in the market is that we've all worked across international food manufacturing or all worked across global retailing and have the privilege of really understanding today's consumer. And I believe if we're going to make any difference in any sector of the food industry, it's about doing it because consumers want it, expect it, and deserve it. And understanding consumer trends and consumer needs is really key. And that's a key part of how we operate as a business, helping clients understand what the consumers really want and how do we help consumers make informed choices through better quality information when they go to purchase their products, wherever they choose to purchase their groceries.
Very interesting, very interesting. So talk us through the main services or programs which is offered by your organization to support individuals in achieving optimal health through nutrition.
I think so we offer a multiple range of services that go all the way from private equity down to people that are starting food businesses. But I think the piece you're probably most interested in for this conversation is if somebody wants to develop a food brand or a range of foods, how do they really understand what today's consumer is looking for, and how do they interpret global mega trends that are setting the habits and the food trends that we're all looking for to bring that into products? So for a long time, we've talked about the nutritional necessity of food and reducing things like sugar, salts and fats and so forth. But things are moving on at pace. It's well recognized and well documented that people are living longer now. And as they live longer, their body needs different levels of nutrients than we do. So it's helping people understand that as an example and saying, yes, you need to produce food that's easy to digest and nutritional and it's got a high nutritional value. But if you're targeting that important aged care sector, they're looking for different things. If you look at somebody that's been in the gym this morning, they come out of the gym and their nutritional need for breakfast is very different than someone that's just got up and gone straight into the office. And it's helping understand how do you build that in. So is that enrichment through collagen? Is it enrichment through high levels of protein, as an example, to make your food plus and take a step towards food with functionality? The other thing, and I just fortunate enough there to catch the end of your previous interview with the other caller, one of the areas that's really interesting is where you look at the association with good gut health and mental well-being. So then if I want to develop a range of products in that area, how do I include prebiotics or probiotics, which are proven for giving you a healthy gut? Because we know if a consumer's got a healthy gut, then it's good for their mental well-being. And this is how you take food to the next journey so that it really does continue to play a major part in people's lifestyle rather than just a source of traditional nutrients.
Interesting. And obviously each person is different. It's like what you mentioned as well, someone who's just gone to the gym in the morning, his breakfast will be different to someone who's just going to go and it's going to go to the office. So each client, each individual, how does the organization tailor its services to meet their specific requirements?
I think first of all you have to break it into groups, and I think what you were just saying there was perfectly correct. If you look at us as a population, we've got a very similar group of people in the UK, but then you break it down into subsections and you say, well, you've got this particular male age group or this particular female age group that are highly active because they're training, because they're running, because they're at the gym. So how do we give that group of people or group of customers or consumers, I should say, something that suits their need, whether it's high protein or something to give them the benefits of that exercise that they've gone through. And then you break it down into the next group and say, okay, what do we do for the aged people? Or what do we do for those students now that are coming up for immense pressure as they go through their exams? How do we introduce nootropics into their food to give them that peak performance using, natural substances and natural food products to give them a drink that's better for them, as opposed to the carbonated drinks that maybe they're very familiar with. So I think it's about breaking it down into that group at the moment and saying, what does science tell us and what's achievable? But I was actually having lunch with a client in Melbourne last week, and he had one of these watches that reads his blood sugar level, and he had a microchip that was attached underneath his skin. And as he went through the menu to order his lunch, he knew if he chose the wrong thing, how that would make him feel for the afternoon, because he had that focus on his own well-being. Now, not all consumers are going to do that, at this stage, because the technology is very young or very new to the market. Right. But what it does show is that people understand if you eat the wrong thing, it elevates your blood sugar level. You might have a hit of sugar and energy, but after that, then you feel really tired. And how we reflect that in food that says, if you're going to have a really busy day today, this is what you should eat that is slow releasing of energy, so you can keep you can be fuller for longer and keep going at a better level of performance, whatever you're doing. I think it's how we adopt that early science and bring it into food and food formulation, so that the everyday consumer can access it, can afford it, and can do their best to promote a healthy lifestyle for them and their family.
Interesting. The interesting fact that you just mentioned as well, we don't really focus on our diet when it comes to being productive as well, because most of the time we think if we rest enough and we had let's say 6 to 8 hours of sleep, then only we can be productive. But our diet also affects our day-to-day life as well, and how we and makes us more energetic as well, what we eat and what we
I think you're so right. I think if you're training for something like a marathon, and I've been fortunate enough to train for a couple, but if you're training for something like a marathon, you change your lifestyle and your diet to give your peak performance. And I think what we are seeing now is science help us understand as individuals and as families, how do we best prepare our family for the amount of exertion or energy that they need to dispel within a normal day. And I think that's really exciting. Another thing that I find fascinating at the moment is one of the big American retailers launched a program called Food as Medicine. And they're using food formulation to help people reduce the incidence of medical conditions, as opposed to needing to go to the pharmacy. And I think as we start to understand more around that association between, the right diet, the good quality food, and our own health and well-being and performance, that just takes food into a really, really exciting place. And when we start to see that come, I'm privileged to work within the food sector.
Absolutely. Mark Field, thank you so much for talking to us and telling our listeners a little bit more about this as well. Thank you so much once again. Have a lovely day.
Fantastic. Delighted to have an opportunity. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Bye-bye. That was Mark Field, who's a director and founder at Prof Consulting Group.